My name is Anatoliana Chalisova, and this is Patriots Must Rise. Um, Today, let's shake things up a little bit. YouTube GunTuber, the AK guy, and for some reason it's doing this again. Technical difficulties, sorry. Brandon Herrera is officially running for the 23rd District Congress for Texas. It should be no surprise that a gun tuber would make this move. But this is the generation right after me. He's part of the generation that this particular class of congressmen has ticked off beyond reality with their insane economic lockdowns, with the Democrats' ridiculous COVID bullshit that everybody saw through. And then, of course, the ridiculous idea that after COVID, enough people would actually elect Joe Biden, a man that can't even walk straight, can't form a sentence, has become the laughingstock and made America the laughingstock of the free world. The next generation behind me is extremely irritated with the left, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful to see how this amazing battle is going to be played out, because you got the woketards that will never be worth anything a day in their life. And then you got the people that actually grow the food, actually produce for a living. And in that dynamic, you've got two sets of values. One, you need the government in order to hold your hand and give you a handout. And number two, and the one everybody should be leaning toward, the government only exists because we let it, and they are very irresponsible with our money. Therefore, they all need to be fired. And that's really where libertarian Brandon Herrera stands. I would endorse him. Unfortunately, I don't live in Texas, and I would definitely vote for a man that that builds and blows up guns for a living. I mean, come on. What's better for America than some good old-fashioned rebellion? But this is exactly what needs to happen. On the other hand, you've got Kamala Harris vocalizing that she wants to completely eliminate the Second Amendment. And as I've pointed out a number of times, the government has no rights at all. They exist because we allow them to exist. We pay their bills. If we decide to stop paying taxes, they starve. I'm more than happy to do that, and I personally think that you should be too. And honestly, if you want to take the head off the Leviathan, you cut off the oxygen. You cut off their food supply. You do that by eliminating an influx of taxes by the masses of people that are actually working. Because on the left, they don't pay taxes. They're receiving handouts from the government that we pay for. So it would be very easy to win this revolution by just basically plowing the fields with salt and allowing these woke-tards on both coasts to just starve. Unfortunately, I am on the West Coast and need to rectify that before all this starts, because it's going to get ugly. It's going to get really ugly, and it should. Because they're already trying to rig the election. It's obvious. So it is going to be interesting to see the younger generation and how they start to vote, because I've heard from many sources that represent the two generations behind me, that they're not going to forget this. And while they were leaning to the left, they realized that it was the left that imprisoned them at home for 2 years until people started having enough with the COVID hoax and actually started to just ignore everything the government started saying. We have to think about the future of his country and not the immediate desires of some idiot bureaucrat or even some queerbait with a rainbow flag. And we certainly shouldn't be listening to the overfed cows that represent every overused tampon on the planet on The View. They shouldn't even have a voice. What the hell is this? Why is it that these prehistoric dykes have ever been listened to? I don't know the stand that most Democrats have on the Second Amendment. They generally don't understand why the Second Amendment exists, apparently, which is fine. We can educate them about that. But for the contradiction, and this has to be put very bluntly, okay, for the First Lady of an administration that is questionable in the first place to say that she wants to abolish the Second Amendment because the Second Amendment is literally to aid in to protect the right of the people to rise up against the government. The conflict of interest there is really, really striking. So here's my message to Kamala Harris. It's blatantly illegal. I will drive it through your fucking head. And I just got told that maybe I went too far with that, but I'm not thinking I did. You have no right to take our guns because you didn't give us the right to have the guns in the first place. The fact that we happen to be human beings created by God says that we have the right. Okay? We have the right to defend ourselves and our freedom and our family against you. So if you want to come and get it, you better be prepared to die. That's all there is to it. And I'm really sure that you're never going to be elected again anyway, so I don't have to worry about it. But when the right people are elected, I'm also sure that we're going to see public execution. So I'm looking forward to news, some amazing news actually. YouTube personality, and I consider him a friend, Brandon Herrera, two-way activist and gun tuber, has put his hat in for the 3rd District of Texas to run for Congress. In the description, I left a link to his YouTube announcement for that. And please check it out. I am not in a position to financially help him right now, but I know a lot of Patriots happen to be in a better position, so please do help him out. This is a man that actually understands that government is not necessarily the way to aid in the cause of freedom. And he does take a libertarian point of view, which I lean more toward than I do conservatism, because I don't believe in a need for government. But I do acknowledge that, unfortunately, because of the fact that people are idiots, sometimes we need some kind of regulation. So yeah, please support Brandon. Check out his YouTube channel. I've been watching him for years. I've met him a couple times at SHOT Show, and he's supported Patriots Must Rise, even after we were banned. At this point, I feel a need to actually address the conflicting visions of America and why I feel we have such a division in this country. First of all, the division is intentional. It's blatantly intentional. We see that with the ESG scores. We see that with the social experiment known as COVID and the lockdowns. But even more so, we see that with the curriculum that the public schools have been introducing into our children's lives. Basically, there are two sets of visions that will always conflict in America, and it comes down to whether or not you're willing to actually work and provide for your family, or you feel that the government should be providing for you because you are an American. I think we know which side is which. But just in case it has to be spilled out, yeah. The Democrats have always had a handout. They've always been the ones to raise taxes and push for bigger government. Meanwhile, the ones that should be mostly conservative, because of the fact that they're the ones that are working for a living, they're the ones that are not only providing for their families, but they're also providing for the woketards that seem to have a right to vote even though they shouldn't, because they're on public assistance. They shouldn't. They tend to value the dollar that they're working for a little bit more because they actually put the sweat equity into it. When you get this kid that is just out of high school, never actually had a job in his or her life, works for Starbucks and starts complaining about the job because they have to work with customers, which is in fact the job. Sorry guys, I've got a tumor behind my left eye and it's been acting up lately. You definitely see us. You can go on to TikTok and see this plethora of Gen Zers, Gen Xers, whatever they call the generation that has just gotten out of high school, complaining about the idea that they don't want to work for the rest of their lives. Really? You don't want to work for the rest of your life. So what do you expect that is coming from? Where do you think this iPhone that you just posted this video came from? I guarantee you that wasn't an Obama phone. And I guarantee you that it wasn't something that you probably bought. So your parents probably do have some kind of work ethic. I think we need some kind of regulation. Since the Democrats have always wanted control over people, I think that we do need a social regulation that requires an IQ test for a voter. And not just an IQ test. You need to at least have an understanding of economics. I don't care if you understand politics. Understand economics. Because the bulk of these kids that I'm seeing over and over again get on TikTok, and I don't watch TikTok. I see them from people that are reviewing the TikTok content, giving their take on what that person just said. The bulk of the people that I see haven't been alive long enough to even understand what it is to hold a job for more than a year. What it is to actually commit to the family that you have just created. But then again, these are people that have already committed to the Democrat Party, so they're probably not planning on having families. They're planning on just killing their babies as they come. The ideologies the difference in ideologies is basically put down to I'm okay with working for what I need, and I'm okay with you giving me a handout because I don't want to work for what I need, but I deserve what you have. If this doesn't offend you at the very core of who you are, I'm not sure that you can call yourself an American. And when they start talking about racism, and they start talking about this infinite systemic racism, which, by the way, I do agree that there is systemic racism in America, but it's not toward the blacks. But when they start talking about it, and nobody actually sees that the rhetoric about it is solely to cause division among the people who happen to be citizens of this country, because the powers that be realize that if we sow division among the masses, nobody will unite and concentrate their forces on the people who are the real enemy. If you haven't figured out who the real enemy is, I don't think that you've been paying attention ever since Joe Biden got installed into the White House. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for today. I really hope that you enjoy this content. If so, I'm having to ask for donations. I don't know if people understand this, but I am permanently disabled. I'm blind, and I'm partially paralyzed. So making this content is really how I'm trying to make a living in the first place. And I don't believe in asking Uncle Sam for help. So I'm asking you, please, like, subscribe, but most of all, live free, die well, and love your neighbor as Christ has loved you.